So it gives you an idea of the scale of these guys. They're trying to buy out Ford, trying to buy out General Motors, okay? They did attempt to also buy out, prior to General Motors, they tried to buy out Chrysler. They teamed up with Lee Iacocca and teamed up with Kirk Kerkorian after they threw his butt out of Chrysler, and he attempted to buy it. Subsequently, Mercedes bought it, and after Mercedes sold it, where did it go to? It went to the Carlyle Group. So obviously the Bush family is a little more powerful with their Carlyle Group than the Bronfmans were in that arena, at least this go-around. Doesn't mean they won't do it later. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah, that gives you an idea of some of the things. The other big one is they have this joint communication system, which we call MSNBC Universal, which is Microsoft, Universal Studios, MGM Universal, NBC, and General Electric. So what does that tell you about Bill Gates and Microsoft? Is that multi-billionaire working with an organized crime figure of the Bronfman crime family? Is he that dumb that he doesn't realize what he's working with? Or is he complicit, or is he part of the mafia himself? And also the same would apply to General Electric, for that matter. Who really runs them? Okay? So that gives you an idea of the scale of what you're doing on an economic level.
You know, somebody just brought up Vivendi in the interface, and you kind of have a good story about that. Do you mind sharing?
Vivendi? Yes. Vivendi was involved.
So he just typed it here, so he obviously knows a little bit about who you're talking about. That's a good one.
Okay. Vivendi is a part of MGM Universal that the Bronfmans got into. They were involved with two divisions of it. One was water management. They both deal with sewage systems and water systems. And the other division was the entertainment division. Well, apparently they're the ones literally trying to buy out the water supply of the entire world. Okay, that's one of the efforts they've been doing, and they are truly doing that throughout. They're not so big in the U.S. anymore. They were attempting about 10 years ago, literally to basically privatize water systems throughout the country and take ownership of them. Okay. For some apparent reason, they failed, and they went out of business, and they lost billions of dollars on that. That was one of their initial failures. Couldn't happen to a nice bunch of people. Okay. There's more details on that, but I'm not going to talk about that here. I mean, it's not a wise idea. But
Okay. We'll do that off the air. Okay. Who else? Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about their leadership also in other countries like Canada, Israel? So they're not just, completely taking over America. No,
they're taking over the world. Okay. I mean, they literally are taking over the world. Probably ought to play music from David Bowie, the man who sold the world, when you talk about this family, because they're selling us all down the tubes. All right. Charles Bronfman, one of the Bronfman members, he's a major leader in Canadian politics, and he's also a major leader in the Kadima, which is the political party of Israel that's in power right now. Okay. Let's see, I know they have some extensive influence in Great Britain, but I'm not on top of what they're doing over there. So that would be another subject of research later on, or beyond my knowledge at this point. They're definitely involved with, let's see, so they're Israel, Canada, U.S., Great Britain, with Russia. That was another one. Once the wall came down, Edgar Bronfman Sr., the father Edgar Bronfman Jr., was a major figure in working in Russia and the Eastern Bloc to basically set up economic activities over there. I'd have to do some more research on what he did. Okay, I'm not fully familiar with everything he was doing over there, but I think eventually they got fed up with him. That's when Putin kicked them all out, when he took over all the oil interests. There is one thing he did. Edgar Bronfmans Sr. was the one who basically went after Germany for the Holocaust victims to collect money from Germany, and I think he collected billions of dollars. All right, I think he collected. I'm not sure exactly how much, but he got between $5 or $12 billion from Germany to help the people whose lives were ruined by what happened during World War II from the Holocaust. There was people then who talked about what he really did. Is he literally gave somewhere between 1 to 3 cents on the dollar to the Holocaust victims and kept 97 cents on the dollar for himself. That's how much he even cares about his own damn people. Right? Call him a philanthropist, someone who really cares about his people. I don't call that caring about the people. Mm. So a lot of these Holocaust victims who are hoping to get compensation, are still living in poverty, have no benefits, no medical care, no place to live, not even help for a nursing home. So Bronfman collected all the money and kept it for himself.
Wow.
Right? So that's what a sweetheart he is.
But he's a philanthropist, isn't he? I mean, that's what he calls himself. They all call themselves that. They have all these great Jewish training schools and help the world. And, I mean, if you just looked at it on the surface, they call themselves philanthropists. So they took all the money, basically, and screwed the Holocaust survivors. It basically like, any other large organization here that pretends to help people and just gets rich off of other people's sorrow.
Right. His philanthropy is about equivalent to Al Capone in Chicago in the Great Depression, setting up soup kitchens, where he basically wrecks the economy and puts everybody out of work. That's about how much he really helps people. That would be a very good analogy to describe what I see, what he's really done.
All right. But there is some relation there, but maybe we can get into that a little bit later. How did all this happen?
Well,
how did they end up owning the world and nobody even knowing it? I mean, we hear about Rockefeller, Rothschild, but we don't hear about the Bronfmans.
Right, and we will. I'll explain that. One last point on the current thing is they took over the largest aerospace company in Israel called Rafael Aerospace, R-A-F-A-E-L.
Uh-huh.
There was a power struggle about over 20 years, probably closer to 30 years at this point, between Edgar Bronfman Sr. and Raphael Eaton. They both wanted power to control the World Jewish Congress, okay, and that would give them the international power to influence that policy throughout the world. Well, the end result was Raphael Eaton, I believe it was in Tel Aviv, had a mishap. Apparently, they photographed that he was on a pier on a bright sunny day, like you see on the Mediterranean, and his roof of his car was smashed in, like a tree fell on it, and the windshield was smashed. And they said that a freak wave basically washed him out into the bay, leaving his car unscathed sitting on the pier, and that he drowned. Okay, the swells that day on the bay were 2 inches. Okay, so then we look at the end result of what happened. Okay, I don't know the details. To me, it looks like an assassination, and who benefits? Well, Edgar Bronfman Sr. becomes the head of the World Jewish Congress, and then he owns Rafael Armaments, Aerospace. The same one whose sniper rifles were being used when they're photographing our troops in Iraq being shot. And so it's been identified by some other websites we could bring up that some of those weapons photographing our GIs being murdered were Rafael sniper guns. because they had a special equipment on them that would enable one to photograph the shooting. And some of the people did the analysis indicated that's what they had.